The West London Orbital line is a proposal for a rail service to facilitate orbital journeys in West London. The original concept was developed by rail promoters in the 2010s who wanted to bring back passenger services on the Dudding Hill line from Brent Cross to Acton Wells Junction, close to what will be the Old Oak Common HS2 station. The original concept sought to connect Ealing Broadway to Hendon. The West London Alliance and TfL took this to the proposal you see here to connect Hounslow to Hendon and West Hampstead. Further work has been done to firm up on this proposal, taking into account all practical aspects. This was delivered to TfL in November 2024. We should first look at the transport gaps which could be eliminated. In the west of London there are only 6 significant interchange stations, and they are shown here. It is worth it to take the following station-to-station walks into account. In the bottom left, Kew Bridge to Gunnersbury, 1000 metres, 15 minutes. South Acton to Chiswick Park, 800 metres, 10 minutes. South Acton to Acton Town, 950 metres, 14 minutes. Acton Central to Acton Main Line, 1120 metres, 16 minutes. This is the problem to be solved. The WLO proposal connects to none of the interchange stations and eliminates just one station-to-station walk. The WLO journey 3 northernmost stations to 3 southernmost stations is irrelevant because almost nobody would make it. The first problem with the WLO proposal is that it crosses the path of many freight trains. It is not a problem to follow a freight train because the freight train is faster. The problem is with conflicting movements, and daily the number of them is as follows: Hendon 2, Brent Curve Junction 2, Acton Canal Wharf 6, Acton Wells Junction 36, Kew East Junction 4. A 775 metre train crossing a 225 metre intersection at 40 kilometers per hour takes 1.5 minutes, but taking account of unpredictable arrival times, signalling delays, and acceleration and deceleration, this becomes 3.5 minutes. Frequently, the remedy is to cancel the passenger train journey completely. The Elizabeth line conflicts with freight trains in the west, and 20-minute gaps in the service are common. The Mildmay line has conflicting movements at Mitre Bridge Junction, Acton Wells Junction, and South Acton Junction. This gives rise to train cancellations. The second problem with the WLO proposal is the station-to-station walk times. Neasden, 250 metres, 4 minutes. Old Oak Common, 1200 metres, 20 minutes, including 90 steps on stairs and escalators. Kew Bridge to Lionel Road, 450 metres, 8 minutes. So consider some typical journeys. Hendon to Heathrow, option 1, Thames Link to the Elizabeth line, 66 minutes, fare £12.80, walking 1 minute. Option 2, the WLO to the Elizabeth line, 72 minutes, fare £5.60, walking 20 minutes. Hendon to Harrow-on-the-Hill, option 1, bus, 35 minutes, fare £2. Option 2, WLO to the Jubilee line to the Met line, 30 minutes, fare £5.60, walking 4 minutes. Option 3, Thames Link to the Met line, 31 minutes, fare £5.60, walking 15 minutes. It is difficult to find any interchange to the WLO which has a compelling advantage. The third problem with the WLO proposal is that it proposes to close 3 level crossings, shown here as crosses. Acton Central Station, Bollow Lane, the Eastern Crossing, and Wood Lane, Isleworth. This is daily about 8,000 pedestrian and cyclist journeys suffering a 45-second penalty. About 16,000 car journeys will suffer a 3-minute penalty. Possibly, the time lost at level crossings will equal the time saved by passengers. The diverted traffic will cause significant costs. Alfred Road will have nearly 8,000 vehicles passing daily. There will be extra load on the Chiswick roundabout and the Chiswick High Road. It is ironic that one of the design aims of the West London Orbital line was to reduce congestion on the North Circular Road. Probably compensation payments will be due. If this was a serious proposal, then the following ameliorations would be made. To raise the level of the track at Acton Central to allow a 2.5 metre headroom under bridge. Construction of a road along the western side of the Mildmay line from Bollow Lane to the Chiswick High Road. This is shown as the dotted line. The fourth problem with the WLO proposal is that it includes an option to branch the service at Neaston with alternate trains running to West Hampstead via Cricklewood. Who would use a 15-minute interval service from West Hampstead on the WLO when there is a 7.5-minute interval service on the Mildmay line taking the same time? TfL have received a detailed design for the WLO which extends the route from Hendon to Colindale. The design is for all works and lacks only Neasden Station. This detailed design is not published, but is available as a Freedom of Information request. The proposal is for dual voltage battery electric vehicles. This is for 3 reasons. The DC supply is inadequate on the southern end of the route. National Rail have no plans to electrify the route at 25 kV AC, and the section from Bollow Lane to Kew Bridge could not be DC third rail. The Colindale station is at Aerodrome Road and is shown here. The down slow line will move to a new bridge span next to the fast lines on the left. There would be 2 terminal platforms between the existing routes, and the tracks would merge onto the existing freight tracks. For comparison, the construction of Brent Cross West Station was a contract for 60 million, and the final cost of all the facilities was 420 million. The Thameslink rerouting is likely to cost 100 million, involving significant changes to the power equipment. Likely cost is in total 600 million. At Brent Cross West, 2 new platforms will be built on the west side. The likely cost is 80 million. The stations at Neasden and Harlesden are straightforward, both being on embankments, and have a likely cost of 60 million each. The station at Old Oak Common on the WLO is to be north of Victoria Road. The likely cost is 60 million. The walking distance to Old Oak Common HS2 station is 1,200 metres. It is noteworthy that when the station was planned to be further south, and there was a bridge, and the route took a diagonal path, the distance was 780 metres, but it is now 1,200 metres. Old Oak Common Station is the main benefit of the WLO proposal. It is tempting to believe that this location has been proposed as a way to bury this proposal forever. It is proposed to remodel Acton Wells Junction to be a 4-track junction. This will involve building a new 2-track bridge. This facility will be a major improvement for the Mildmay line because it will halve the number of conflicting freight train movements there. Likely cost 100 million. A much better solution would be to locate the Mildmay and WLO platforms for Old Oak Common together on the bridge. More on this later. The station at Lionel Road is likely to provide turn-back facilities. The likely cost is about 50 million. it will be necessary to remodel Old Kew Junction with a likely cost of 20 million. It will be necessary to provide turn-back sidings at Hounslow in the middle of the formation. Likely cost, say, 30 million. It will be necessary to provide stabling sidings at Old Oak Common involving new bridge infrastructure at a likely cost of, say, 100 million. It will be necessary to build passenger ramps at 3 level crossing sites. At 2025 prices, total cost excluding trains, training and the West Hampstead branch will be, say, 1,380 million. I would be surprised if the final cost was below the figure shown here. The annual operating cost, excluding interest or depreciation charges, is unlikely to come in at less than 25 million. Colindale Station is likely to bring new passenger revenue of about 3.5 million per annum. For fare revenue, the main feature is that passengers will no longer pay the fare premium to pass through Zone 1. The obvious destination for the WLO at the southern end is Ealing Broadway. Call this the new West London Orbital, NWLO. The Elizabeth Line problems are as follows. There is no provision for express services, and it is difficult to travel north from the Elizabeth Line. For the WLO, that is the NWLO, the Elizabeth Line offers 18 stations in the west, whilst the Hounslow Loop Line offers 7 stations. Ealing Broadway offers 18 stations not on the Elizabeth Line but within 15 minutes. Additionally, the Hounslow Loop Line stations are more remote and traffic varies in inverse proportion to the length of the journey. Ealing Broadway would provide at least 4 times as many stations as the Hounslow Loop Line. The journey Hendon to Heathrow Airport falls from 72 minutes by WLO to 42 minutes by NWLO. The journey Wembley Central to Ealing Broadway falls from 44 minutes by WLO to 20 minutes by NWLO. A relocated interchange station would offer Old Oak Common HS2 station within 16 minutes versus 20 minutes. The original proposal targeted Ealing Broadway. Why was it dropped? In my opinion, this was down to vested interests. There are 2 possible routings. Possibly a large elevated curve to the west from the Dudding Hill branch descending onto the central line to Ealing Broadway. This will have failed because it crosses the Park Royal development and necessitated Docklands Light Railway-like trains to take the curve. The other possibility is a route over the freight lines to Acton Main Line station, where the westbound trains would call at the disused northernmost platform face. They would then cross the up freight line on the level to pass under the northernmost arch under Knoll Road, where the tracks would split into a siding and attract to the westbound Central Line route. An alternative or additional feature is to adopt bi-directional signalling on the underpass, which you see here. Ealing Broadway station would look like this. For the return route, NWLO trains would take a new track to merge onto the Elizabeth line just before the underpass, to call at Acton Main Line, and then take a new up track to Acton Wells Junction. In the 19th century, there was a double track curve from Guebridge to Gunnersbury. It would not be expensive to reinstate this as a single track, single direction cut and cover curve. Presumably the compensation cost would be high. Trains from Acton Central would pause at Guebridge, the freight line platform, for 2 minutes. At 14 minutes, this would allow trains to return to Acton Central to coincide with the next southbound train. This would significantly reduce the number of trains needed. This is what the TfL map would look like. The Gunnersbury curve does not just benefit the Mildmay line. From the Brentford area, it becomes possible to travel to the District line and West London in general north of the Thames. This solution is future safe because it enables further developments having massive advantages for the Brentford area. You can find out about this in this YouTube video. Thanks for watching, and please like and share.